Keto. So doing something a little bit different this time. Very proud and happy to share this episode of just me, the Coco and Coco Alexa, having heart to heart and chopping it up with my brother Heinz of the FT podcast and the Keto Island Boys, and talking about a lot of really dope, really important things that we're glad to share with you guys. So hope you enjoy.
And we back, and we back. Yeah. Hey, this ain't no intro.
This is the intro.
Yeah, this is the intro.
This is the intro.
It's the entree. Hit that intro with Kanye. I sound like Andre. Tryna turn my baby mama to my fiance. She like music, she from Houston, like Auntie Beyonce. Man, my daughter couldn't have a better mother if she ever.
It's funny because if you compare, you could compare things and stuff, and just from social media, it's funny how somebody was telling me how you can't find bread in some of the shops in New Zealand, and I was like, yep, well, it's the same thing here in this, like here in the States. It's just, I mean, I've gone to the grocery stores, and it's crazy how things are just empty, and
I've just been
everybody's in a panic
I was
mode.
having this discussion with my wife, and I spilled over a little bit today, and so I owe her a better apology. But I've been really angry throughout this entire process. I'm serious, right? And I had to explain to her yesterday. Our issue is different than the issue that you're facing there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always kind of angry, right? And I'll give you a little bit of a preface why. So I was having a conversation years ago, and I hate how good my memory is, but I was talking to a friend, and I was talking about how I don't like people. And it's me and her, where we work at a law firm, and we're coming in the entrance where everybody brings in deliveries and shit, right? And we're taking the elevator up so we don't get caught on our extended lunch. And we're just rating around with some guys that are making deliveries. And I was like, I really don't like people. And she was like, Teddy, but you're so good with people. And I said, listen, and that's the fucked up thing. Because I'm good with people doesn't mean that I like them. And so I have to spend a lot of time in that space, in the people arena, because that's what my skill set is. But it also it I have to push a lot of me inside to be able to operate in that arena. And I think the thing that makes it kind of frustrating is it's not even like it's something that I consciously do. It's subconscious. My personality, I'm the high energy in the room. I make everybody feel good, or I'm making people laugh, or like boom. And so people automatically enjoy and are relaxed around me, and then they get their best experience, and I get what I need from them by creating the environment that I want. You know what I mean? But that shit is draining.
Oh, dude, I think I'm very similar to you in that sense. I think for me, it's like I don't mind people, but I do really like my alone time. Like I do like to like just eject from the world and just do like just mindless things. Sometimes it could be watching Netflix videos or whatever, but I love my like downtime. Because for me, it it takes a lot of energy. I think what part of it is, sometimes for me at least, and this is what I'm getting from you, is like you're just very socially aware of what's going on. A lot of people don't have that skill where they could sort of read a room or necessarily
The
understand
EQ.
what's going
Most
on or
most
understand
people,
dynamics.
even though they lack it, people understand IQ, right? A lot of people
Mhm.
don't even understand what EQ is. We know because, again, like we always say,
Yeah,
we're
thank
Gary
you.
V
Yeah,
guys, right? But I'm
yeah,
super big on EQ. And it's
yeah.
rough because I don't know if you can tell from our cast, but I've spent my entire life as an analyst, right? So
Mm,
I know behavior and the direction that things tend to go, how people will respond, right? And
yeah,
so, on top of being having great EQ and understanding people, I'm also hyper self-aware. So, as much
yeah.
as I get the next person, I'm very reflective of, okay, this is why I did this. This is why I felt that. And
Correct. Yep.
so, the reason that it brought me to a place of frustration is because what do they say? We have the way, the id, the ego, like the way things are, the way we perceive them, and then the reality. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the thing that's shit for me is, regardless of what people think of themselves or what I think of them or what I think of me, I don't have a choice. I have to see the way things really are. I have to see the way people really are.
Yeah.
And the truth of individuals, or the truth of people, is, as individuals, we all have some really awesome and great qualities in us. But when it comes to people, if you put 2, 3, anytime you start to add numbers to that, people become really shitty. And to take it a step further, if you don't have EQ, there's a lot of people that don't know and don't understand they're the problem.
Yeah.
You
For
know,
sure.
so they think it's everybody else, and they're not. It's not like they're trying to be pieces of shit. They really don't understand that
Yeah.
it's them. They think it's everybody else. One of the best jokes I ever heard around that was from the show I used to love called Justified, because he was a very angry man too. And he said something they told him was, "Oh, I told you this already," but still is relevant to this talk. If you go throughout your day and you meet an asshole, you met an asshole. But if you go throughout your day and you met 10 assholes, you're the asshole.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know they're the asshole, but I don't have the ability to not know that, whether it's me or somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that, man. I feel that. So what in particular lately has made you like angry or whatever?
So a conversation that you and I had recently, one of my favorite quotes was, "Oh, you should hate all weakness, hate it in others, but especially in yourself."
Ooh, yeah, that was good. It's true.
So that's not just a quote for me. That's very much a part of my way of life, and it has been for years. I'm talking over a decade now, right? And so much so, something that always shocks me. I know I'm paying attention, but it always messes me up when other people are paying attention. And so I was working with a guy once, and he was like a jackass. He didn't do anything serious, take anything serious, right? And he said, "I know what word you hate more than anything." And I was like, "No, you don't. Shut up." And he was like, "Yes, I do." And I was like, "What word?" And he was like, "Weakness." And I was like, "Oh shit." I was shook.
Yeah.
But something about me, I don't have the ability to not be what I am. And I say that sincerely because I've tried for a long time to be less of this or less of that, you know? But the things that are true about me are just who I am. I can only be what I am. And my hatred of weakness is very much in my core. And I try and be understanding that everyone hasn't had my experiences. They haven't been trained in certain ways, or they haven't learned certain things, and be accepting of that. But I generally find weakness very distasteful. And weakness comes in a lot of forms. And they say expectation is the mother of disappointment, right? And so I let myself slip because I hold Wellington in very high regard. I think that Wellington is the peak of Theodore, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But I mean, kindness is number one here. Mixing culture, like Wellington is just such a quality place and experience. The difference, I tell all the time, the difference between Wellington and Auckland is like two different countries. You know what I mean? And so I have so much love for Wellington, and I really this situation is part of why I even moved to Aotearoa, because our number one export is agriculture. This is a sustainable country in a major way. One of our main incomes is tourism, but outside of that, if New Zealand was cut off from the rest of the world today, forever, the only thing we don't have is like Cuba, new technology. That's our major import, cars and technology. But we could feed this nation just on what we do forever. Our population is small enough. Our main industries are in these, and we have a lot of great products that are produced here. Okay? And the issue that I had with my wife yesterday that a lot of people here missed is the head of our freight and logistics, which is a field that I worked in for a very long time as an analyst, said to everyone, we do not have a supply issue. It's a demand issue. We're hiring more staff to be in the stores and stock the shelves, but we have what we need. We have more than what we need. We have such an abundance right now that we could give to other countries and we could still be good to go for months. Okay?
That's dope.
And people listened to that and didn't hear a fucking thing. And they immediately started panicking and buying up shit they didn't need and creating an issue. And this is my problem with fear, because fear is a weakness. Okay? What's the movie After Earth with Will Smith and his son? Right? Yep. And what is he? That speech. That speech is so beautiful because it's true. He said, fear is not real. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. It is your brain and your imagination triggering things that have not and may not ever happen. There's no logic in giving into fear. And so people have chosen to give into fear, and they're creating problems as a result of their own weakness where there were none. They're creating shortages where there wasn't a need for shortages. They're making issues, and it's their own fault, because a lady in the store, I was in the supermarket yesterday because, like I said, my wife got a little scared. I said, all right, I'm going to go pick up some extra things because happy wife, happy life, right? Yeah. So, and the lady in the store said it, and I've said it for years. There's an attitude, a Kiwi mindset, and it's she'll be all right. And I don't know if you, but it's that very laid back, don't take anything serious attitude, and it permeates the culture here. And so nobody took anything serious, even though we had tons of time to prepare and tons of time to be ready. And then we hit the 48-hour mark where we jumped to level 3 and everybody lost their fucking minds.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too. I think most most governments, they want people to be sort of live with that fear, though, because it's easier to control people,
But that's not Jacinda Ardern. That's not Aotearoa. That may be national, right? Which is our Republicans, but that's not Labor and that's not the Greens, right? Mm-hmm. Our government has not cultivated that environment. Our government is not a part of that culture. And so for people to jump into that is my issue with people. It's the Joker conversation that somebody posted. Like, this is the thing that sucks about getting to a place in life where you're not a part of the herd.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You can see what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, and you experience and live in as a part of the truth. And other people think they do, but they don't. And when things like this happens, their truth that they didn't know they were really living comes out. They become small. They become petty. They become selfish. They become fearful. And it's not everyone, but it's a lot of people. And so for me, how do you walk around every day seeing that, knowing who people really are, and then smile and cut it up and bullshit like things are sweet? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you bring up a great point about, man, a lot of people were living in fantasy land, man. You know what I mean? Or a lot of people were putting up a facade of trying to live a certain way or try to, be somebody that they're not. And, and I feel like there might have been a lot of people that maybe have overextended themselves, like ran up a lot of debt, things like that. And now, like, this is the time where, like, what is real anymore? You really got to think about what is real. And so that brings that back to the whole agriculture thing. Like, you guys have real, like, resources. Now, like, and this is kind of a crazy thing that you're talking to somebody that lives here in Vegas. Like, the main resource here is our tourism.
People, tourism. Yeah. Because you're in the desert, like we said, yeah.
We really, there's nothing out here in the desert. So when you take the casinos away, so this is like a crazy experiment. And I wonder if people realize this, but man, we just live in the desert. And there's, like, when you take all the shiny stuff and the
on imaginary currency.
Yeah. When you take that stuff away, dude, it's like
This is
what's really going on? What is real anymore?
I
And then
haven't called out my sisters, but I was talking to my mother because she called me for my birthday and she was like, I know, this is up your alley, I know, because like I tweeted, that shit was real. I spent 11 years. That's a long time, Uce. 11 years is a
yeah,
long time. I spent 11 years telling my family, hey guys, this is what's
I
coming.
remember you saying that. Yeah,
Here's what we need to do. Here's how we do it realistically. Here are the changes that we need to make in our life. And nobody wanted to take that shit serious. They didn't
yeah,
believe it because it's easier to live in your lie and your perceived reality than
hmm
change is scary. Have you ever there's a movie called Closer. Have you ever heard of Closer or seen Closer?
yeah. With
Jude
it's a
Law, Julia
British. Yeah, yeah.
Roberts, Natalie
Yep.
Portman,
And
right?
yeah. What's the other guy?
Clive Owens.
Yes, Clive Owens. Yes.
Fucking
Yep.
it's a fucked up movie, but it's a good
It
movie, right?
is a
So
fucked up movie. It is,
at the
but
end
it's
of that
good.
movie, him and Jude Law are chopping it up because Jude Law is in his office and he's having his little breakdown and he wants Julia Roberts back, right? And he says, give her back to me. She wants to be happy. She's not happy with you. And he says, she'll never come back to you. She doesn't actually want to be happy. And he said, that's bullshit. You're stupid. Everybody wants to be happy. He said, except for depressives. And she's a depressive. She doesn't want to be happy because that would require her to change and do something different. And change is scary. So it's easy to be depressive because she knows what that's like. And she can
That's
stick to it.
great.
It's
Yeah.
consistent. And
It's
so
comfortable. It's
it's
comfortable.
comfortable.
Yep.
And that's the same shit. So I tried to convince so many people but it's so much easier to be comfortable than to think that your reality as it is might not be there someday. And most people don't know how to live with that change. But I'm telling you this as a person that said fuck it, put on a backpack and a smaller backpack and then jumped all over the world for fucking years, just living out of two bags in countries that I had never been to, not knowing anyone.
Jealous. Hella jealous. That's dope, man.
But I mean,
Like the balls that it takes to do that, like, man, you really can't have like fear and stuff like that you're talking about because, like, man, if I could tell my 20-year-old self to do that, I would be like, dude, you're tripping, Man, I lived in the same city 30 years, bro. Like,
nah, I was
you know
I
what I
was
mean?
never
So it's
capable of that. I'm not
yeah,
built for that. Like freedom for me is more important than being alive. If I don't
yeah,
have my freedom, I'm not really alive. And so the option for me was be free or die. Like and those are the only two options. So anything in between is acceptable. You know what I mean? Like as long as it's no matter how much I have to struggle, if I'm free or working towards my freedom, it's okay.
I think that was a Die Hard movie. I think one of the
Oh, live free or die
sequels.
hard. Yeah, American shit. Yeah, super funny. But
But no, man, I feel you. That's no, like what's funny about that quote that you brought up is that for so long I was very weak. You know what I mean? And like admitting that now, I could care less. I could give no fucks about it. But understanding that how weak I was when I was, like especially in my 20s, 30s, like early 30s, yeah, man, it took a lot to really find strength in myself. And I feel like I'm still like trying to find strength in myself.
but
But
that's okay. And that's I don't want to give the perception when we have this talk and this conversation that I've
mhm,
never been weak, right? Because the
mhm,
only
mhm.
reason that I can be as strong as I am is because so much of my life I was so weak and so in depth. I didn't find strength
Yeah.
until 21, and I'll say that in all seriousness. And I live part of what's inspired me and driven me to be better is that I still live every day with the shame of the person that I was for 19 to 20 years
Oh,
because
for
I
sure.
feel shame at
Yep.
who I was. And
Same.
I understand all of the weakness. And I mean there was so much of it. Like I I had to
Oh,
go through horrible, horrible experiences
I
in order to
probably have a
build up
thousand. Yeah, I probably have 1,000 examples of myself.
dad life.
Oh yeah, man.
Sorry.
All good.
Let me just find my baby's bottle. There we go. So looking back at all the experiences, I'm still with you.
Well, because a lot of times if you're weak, you don't realize how weak you are because you
Hmm.
you tell yourself that you're not. You tell
Right. The lie.
make
People live the lie.
Yeah, you know, you make it, you get comfortable with whatever reality that you think you're living in is. And to think, you know, for me, I think I had a much bigger ego than I thought I did, and I was much weaker than I thought I did. And then until you strip away everything and you really like give yourself a good look over and really understand yourself and become self-aware of like who you are, then you don't understand those. And then it's literally like walking through, for me, it felt like it was like walking through a moment of clarity. And then I could think back of all the times that I had done some weak shit, like, or did some, and I did, and then I have 1,000 of them. That's why, like, when you talk about the shame, dude, I have that too, man.
My experience was a little bit different because I don't think I ever really had a perceived ego. It was kind of the opposite for me. What it was is I was hypersensitive, you know, on an emotional level. And I used to feel all of my feelings so intensely that it would leave me physically weak and drained. I'm telling you, when I was sad or upset, what is it? Your mental creates a physical reality. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so my emotions used to be so strong that my mental, if I was upset, I could feel the ache in my heart. I could feel it. I could feel the pits and the hollowness in my stomach, the ulcers, the stress that I had. And when you have an emotional need and a hunger, it's very dangerous because it can lead you into a lot of places and situations from the desire to be full. And the reason that I had that is because for so long in my life, I had no self-love. I had no self-worth. You know what I mean? And I didn't believe that I deserved those things no matter how hungry I was for them. And I craved them. And so I had this emptiness that I didn't understand. And that emptiness turned into anger. But it created pretty much a life where for a large portion of my life, I suffered. It was nothing but constant suffering in different ways. And, you know, some people never escape that. But I'm thankful that I ended up getting to a place where I couldn't suffer anymore. I couldn't want to die anymore. And so I had to change and do something different because people weren't feeling me. Women weren't feeling me. Sex wasn't filling me. Alcohol wasn't filling me. Monetary wasn't filling me. And the realization that I came to was neither I nor the world was ever going to be what I thought I deserved or it deserved to be unless I found the strength to make it that. And so it had to start with me accepting all the things that I wasn't and then learning what I wanted to be and understanding why I wanted to be those things so that I could work towards them.
That's so.
But I mean, like I literally had to suffer so much that I had to learn to live without feelings and emotions because I couldn't be in the middle. I had to cut myself off from them because they were that detrimental to my health.
Yeah, man. I think sometimes it gets to a point where it comes to an extreme. You know, I think, you know, I just look at that's basically the situation I was in. It was like, man, I just got tired of my own complacency, and I was trying to figure it out, and I was trying to, you know, you try to find all those different things that you think that may help you. But for me, it was really understanding and being self-aware of like who I really was. And then
self-awareness is the key. You can't go anywhere without self-awareness. I call it.
If you don't know who you are, then how are you supposed to engage with the world? Because, you know, you're just, and I think that's my problem, where it was like, man, I don't know if it was ego or if it was insecurity, because it's like, you know, it could be either end too, you know. And so it's, I think all of that, like, if you don't know who you are, then how are people supposed to react to you? Everything in life, just like,
how can someone give you what you need if you don't know what you need?
Yeah, exactly.
I call it the self-improvement pyramid, right? Yeah. And self-awareness, self-honesty, and the desire to be better. And I honestly believe that it takes all three of those things, right? Because self-awareness is only a small part of the process. If you can see all of it, but you can't be honest about it, what's the point? You know, you have to be able to say, hey, I'm the problem here. You know what I mean? Or shit, I could be doing this better. And then the desire to be better is also very real, because there are a lot of people who see it and they can honestly say, hey, I'm shit, you know, but this is who I am. You need to learn to accept me. And that's enough for them. Wow. There is no will or desire to improve or to change or to not be that. They think that well, at least I know that I'm a piece of shit. You know, I'm better than all you fucks that don't know. But no, exactly. But knowing and not doing anything about it doesn't make it any better. It kind of makes it fucking worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, honestly, the thing for me, it was suffering. It was suffering. And it was hunger, and it was a need, and it was a desire to have so many things that I wanted that were never attainable to me, and I didn't understand why, and I didn't know why, and the problem was me.
That's where it starts, man. And then, you know, it's crazy. It's a lot of people say the same things over and over, but I'll say it here. It's just too many people blame other people or their circumstances or whatever for whatever they're in, and like,
it's everything but them.
Yeah, you got to realize you're the general, you're the king, you're the whatever president of your self. You know, you're the CEO. You're you're the in charge. So,
but we've had that talk. That's not true for everybody. We've had that. It's not. It's true. It should be, but it's not. We could talk about should until we're blue in the face, right? Some people are leaders. Some people are followers. And then for me, the third category is the lone wolves, because there's people that don't want to lead and they don't want to follow. They just want to be themselves and be fucking left alone and exist unto themselves.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, everybody's in charge of themselves, though. So they are.
No, I'm going to debate that, Uce. I'm going to debate that.
Ooh, let's go.
Okay, right? So I'm not talking about my biological mother, but I'm talking about my most important mother, the one I named my youngest daughter after. And I take all of the things that she taught me as gospel, and I'm going to teach you something that my mother taught me, and we'll mix it up. Okay?
Okay.
Formation of self. Ultimately, we're responsible to self, which is what you're saying, right?
Yes. Yep.
So formation of that self takes the utmost and the greatest care. You can deny it if you want, but the reality is that we live and are the result of some of our earliest experiences. So if you spend not just your formative years, but let's just say you're a follower, that's one, right? And then you spend from ages 1 to 20 being dominated by someone who's a leader, and they never gave you the opportunity for will or free thought or independent thinking and those things, and you're not someone who was born with the will to fight back, at what point are you ever responsible to yourself? It's the worst thing that happens to those people is becoming responsible for themselves and unto themselves. Because some of these people, when it happens, they're 30, they're 40, and they've never had to have their own fucking thought. And they literally don't know how to function as an adult. And it leads them into the hands of more dangerous people who use and abuse them because they don't know. They've never had the opportunity or the will to be a them that was responsible to them. You have people that get married and have a family and get a job that their parents wanted them to get because that's what their parents wanted them to do.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't know anything. There's a show that used to be on HBO, right? And it was called Cat House, right? And it was about this bunny ranch in Nevada, and it was like the most popular bunny ranch. And I mean, it was so popular, they used to have famous porn stars there, and guys would fly in their private helicopters for a weekend. And there's this one episode I'll never forget. This guy was 48 years old, and he was a virgin. And do you know why he was at the bunny ranch?
I remember that, I think.
His
Didn't
mom,
somebody mom paid for it, right? Or something like
his
that?
mom brought him to the bunny ranch to lose his virginity. This 48-year-old man, and she sat down with him, and they picked out a girl together, and she went to the bedroom with them and stayed while they talked until he was comfortable, and then she left the room so that her son could lose his virginity. Do you
Damn,
think
that's hard.
now my real question for you is, do you think he was ever at any point in the life his own boss and in charge of who he was going to be in his reality?
I see what you're saying. No, but he at any point in time he has the ability to disconnect. It's kind of like, everybody, like, society tells us one thing. So many people are raised by society,
Mm-hmm.
same sense that you're talking about, and I agree with you upon that, where everybody is taught a certain way to think or whatnot, and like you have to do these things in order to be successful, and you have to like you have to go to school, and you have to get a job, and you have to buy a house, and so a lot of these things are being taught to us, through society's.
Indoctrinated
Yes,
in us.
yes,
Uce, I agree
but
with you, because
that's
what
not
you're
really.
saying is there's always a choice. That's essentially what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but I mean, eventually you have to think for yourself,
But
because
listen, here's the
in
thing,
all
right?
these, yeah, yeah,
That takes us back to our base conversation. It's not about having the choice. Are you strong enough to make the choice?
yeah. There you go.
Okay? Not making a choice is a choice, but there are
It
a lot of
is.
people who don't
That's the
get that
one.
and they cop out. There are people
That's
that
the
don't
one.
want to be in. I didn't do
Pe-
this. You
People
made this.
love comfort. Yeah, people
Yeah.
love comfort. People love to be like to stay in their own lane or whatever. Or this has been working for me, and so I get it, man. It's total, like, once I could see kind of what was going on, man, I ejected out of Seattle. I quit my job. I came and I stayed with my parents, and yeah, man, it's been the first so far. It's been probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Then, like, right after my dad passed, man, we sold the house. So it's like,
Your
man,
reality
we've
is
been.
changing. Your world is becoming progressively different.
And people would look, and like a lot of people would look at a lot of those decisions like, dude, you're
And be like, oh, what
crazy.
are you
Why would you
doing?
quit your
Yeah.
job? Yeah. Why would you quit your job? Why would
Angie,
you move away? Why? And then, we told people that we're selling the house, and they're like, why are you selling the house? And it's like, dude, we just unloaded a lot of debt and like got a little
facts.
bit extra money, and
Yeah.
our rent is $500 cheaper than what the mortgage would have been. So
But they
instead of
don't
paying 50,
understand that.
like,
People only understand things from their perspective 9 times out of 10, and they think you're supposed to live their reality or what they
exactly,
view as acceptable, whether it
exactly,
works for you or not.
exactly. And that's why it's like, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely sad when we moved in here, just because it was like,
It felt like a
just it's.
downgrade. It felt like a
Oh, for
downgrade.
sure. It feels like a downgrade, and like, I'm still going through some
All that
things
ego shit.
emotionally, and
The
yeah,
ego
oh, for
shit.
sure. So the ego stuff, and like, yeah, I mean, those are probably other reasons why, like, I disconnected my personal Instagram and Facebook, because I was like, man, I used to live for that stuff, right? And
Hmm.
this is kind of going back to like reality. What reality are you living in? And man, I used to like be traveling all over the world. I used to
Hmm.
like be kicking it with all these different
Angie,
people, and then, finally, when we had moved, and like, and I wasn't really reaching out to like any of my friends. I just didn't want to see anybody. I just I literally started doing this quarantining, like I started quarantining myself like maybe like 6 months ago, just because I was in a little funk, and I was going through some things emotionally and stuff, and just trying to fight my own demons. But I knew that for me, I knew that there would be a time where, okay, things need to start getting going. And
hmm
what's so crazy is like this all just happened so fast, where I finally started getting out of the little depression that I was in, and I was started making moves. And then next thing you know, we're in this crisis, and it's like, damn! Right when I was ready to be social again with people, because a lot of people think I'm a people person, like how
Uh-huh.
people may think about you. But
Uh-huh.
I really do enjoy my own time. I really, and like people don't understand that. Like it's all a recharge, and I felt like I went through this long recharge, and I was ready to come out and just kind of see the world again. And then next thing you know, the world's like, nope, you got to stay in recharge mode. And
They say
that.
the difference between being an extrovert and an introvert is about where you get your energy from, right?
Mm,
And so if you're an extrovert, you get your energy from being around people. You feed off of other batteries and it fuels yours, and those are our social butterflies, right? And if you're an introvert, you recharge in solitude. That's how you build back up, right? And it's not necessarily about how you express yourself, it's more about where you take energy from.
dude,
I Go
damn.
ahead.
Now that I think about it, so go. No, you go first, and I'll tell
No,
you
tell me,
what I
tell me,
think.
tell me. Now that you think
Well, I
about it, go
just
ahead.
now that you say that, I feel like I'm definitely an introvert that has a lot of fun when he's with,
You're a
when
socialized introvert. One of my
yeah,
friends coined
really
that
is.
term. She's a
Yeah, that's
socialized introvert.
totally. Like I get a lot of energy. Like I really do get a lot of energy just from being by myself and just being introverted. And but when
I'm
I'm
in.
out with people, it's like it's on, and I like it. But then but what's funny is when you specifically said about getting energy, I always feel drained after. I feel that because a lot of times I feel like I got to carry the party, or I got to bring the party with me, or I got to make people laugh, or I got to keep people entertained, or I got to make sure people are comfortable. And I'm like trying to do all these things at
You're the
once
fun
if
guy.
I'm in.
You're the fun friend. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, and then people just assume that I always like to be around people. And it's like, man, I
Oh, no,
do.
tell that joke. Tell that thing you told me. Do that thing you did. No, no, no. But I'm saying, like, that's the response because people think, oh,
Oh
no,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
natural for
yeah.
him. Do that
Exactly,
thing. Do that thing.
exactly. Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, dude. I get those all the time. Tell that joke. Tell that story. Tell that. It's like, dude. It's like let it just come naturally. Let everything come, And but then after it's all said and done, and all the dust is cleared, man, I feel it feels good to just recharge back at home and just like whatever it is, uh just eject from all of that, and just I love it. I love being by myself sometimes.
So for me, right, I'm very adaptable. I have the potential to be either, but for
mm,
the majority of my adult life, I've been an introvert in terms of recharging energy, and I'll explain why, right?
yeah.
So we have anomalies, right?
Mhm.
And the anomalies are a Jeff Bezos, right? The anomalies are what's a guy, what's the guy who built Virgin, the Virgin Empire?
Branson, Richard Branson.
Brenton, and even Steve Jobs. Those are the anomalies, right? And I'm going to explain
Yep.
why they're anomalies and how this plays into me, right? Because talking about self-honesty, the realization that I came to in life, this for me was the great tragedy of my life, and it's something I still live with. Um, no matter how talented, how skilled, how intelligent, how capable you are, no one can do it alone. No one
Mm.
can do it alone.
Hmm.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how great social media is, what the extension is. At some point in the process, you need others. You need to be able to work with others, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I spent a good portion of my life searching for those others because the truth is, I do have a lot of talent. I do have an above average intellect. I do have a lot of capability, right? But the thing
Hmm.
that fucked me over was even though I may be above average in those things, I didn't have enough to take me farther without others. And so the word that I hated most before weakness was need,
Hmm.
because there were so many things that I couldn't do in life because I needed other people to do those things.
Yep.
And then the thing that became tragic was to understand and be aware of your own limitations is like a really fucked up, crazy slap in the face. You know what I mean? Because it's like, shit, I'm so good at this, but there's this wall that I can see and I cannot escape and not get past. But if I had other people who were on my same level, and so it wasn't even arrogance, it wasn't ego, it was understanding my exceptions, understanding my limitations, and then the tragedy of not being able to find other people who could at least meet those or even exceed me so that we could be great together. And it's the bitterness that it created in me to not be good enough and to meet other people who were even less than that. Like, I know it sounds fucked up, but do you get what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You were hungry.
I was very discontent for so long because I wasn't enough, but I couldn't even find other people that were as much as me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we could have been great together, and that messed me up for a long time. And so I became an introvert in terms of that was what I needed to have peace of mind and stillness and to get my energy back, because most times interacting with people for me is just disappointing, and the disappointment leaves me drained.
Yeah. That's a different way that being with can drain you too. Yeah, just
because people are so self-important. People are so self-important, and they're so self-sure, and they're so arrogant and confident. And a lot of times the people that display those things are so amazingly less than.
Yep.
We've talked about the fit versus the unfit. You know what I mean? And like, if you ever came to one of my classes, right? I'm so thankful that my students hold me in high regard. But my classes are never about me. Right. And this is what I call an import of leadership. I am always the least important person in the room, because my job and my responsibility is to uplift the room and make it better so that we can cultivate each other and grow together. So to be the least important person in the room, to have that, to be trying to build up and cultivate and build that talent in others and still not be able to find what I need is I don't even enjoy leaving the house.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Because I hate bravado. If it's backed up, I fucking love it. Let's vibe. Yeah. Let's do some shit. But if all you have for me is bravado, I have no respect.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a joke to you or serious.
Yeah. You gotta prove it, and if people just have the bravado, but they can't back it up, unfortunately.
Because you got a lot of people like, oh no, well, I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't mean that. Like, me, I'm just kidding around. No, words are life and death to me. So if it's not true, if you don't mean it, if it's not reality and it's not, then you shouldn't fucking say it. That's not a joke. It's a lie. It's a lie that you're telling to yourself and laughing at.
And those are things that I learned too along the way too. I think sometimes I used to, when I was in my extroverted self, I would boast about things that necessarily might not have been true, and that I didn't even believe it in myself, but I just said it because maybe it was cool around the
faking it till you make it.
At the time. Yeah, and for me, it was, now looking back, is like, I didn't need to do that. It's like, why did you have to act that way? Why did you have to say those things? Yeah, man, I saw a lot of stuff like that about myself in the past, and now I look at myself and it's like, okay, if I'm gonna open my mouth about something, is this really me? Is this really reality? And and now as things get clearer, things just get clearer and clearer every day to me of what reality is and what's really going on. I have a better picture of of who I am, and things like that are rare to come out of my mouth these days. It's like I would never.
And that's what's up. That's growth. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's like you see it, and it was funny, because man, we're always on Twitter, so it's just so funny seeing these people that are on there, and it's like I never really like to I'll just like to joke around on there and maybe bring up like random subjects and talk about whatever the news, whatever's going on. But bragging about myself is probably one that I never I don't really like doing that on there. You know what I mean? It's just not.
You
It's not.
see my content, you know what I tweet. I wish I
Yeah.
had the ability to be less serious, but a lot of my shit is so very authentically me and very
Yeah.
personal. You
Yep.
know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah.
And no bullshit, no bullshit. Like it's I try and work hard to be less abrasive me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know.
Because
Yeah. But it's still like being you. You is still. It's like
but you gotta
sometimes.
the thing is we exist as much as I don't enjoy other people, we live and exist in the world with other people.
We
You know what I
do.
mean? And
Yeah.
so we have to be mindful of certain things. For me, I'm gonna like
Yep.
the reason I try not to get angry and blow up too often is not
Yeah.
so I don't offend people, is because my mother taught me that anger is a weakness. And the reason it's a weakness is because you give people leverage over you. If people
Mm.
understand what makes you angry, then they understand how to maneuver you and what
Yes.
position to put you in.
Yeah. That's
Okay?
good.
I'm telling you, one
Yeah.
of the reasons
That's
that I
true.
suffered so much in life that makes that so easy for me to remember is because the most important thing for me for years was having a family and being a father
Hmm.
and a husband.
Hmm.
And there were women who understood that about me and they manipulated me with the
Mm.
promise of that. And that promise
Hmm.
was all I needed for me to go above and beyond and be a super go getter. And
Yep.
so I'm blessed because I learned from my mistakes. And
Yeah,
so
man.
if I
Same.
won't let somebody manipulate me in one way, I'm not going to open myself up and give people the keys to do it in another way.
Yep.
So when I
And
hold
that and
off on a tweet, it's not for them, it's for me.
yeah. I mean that's deep when you like just talking about being angry is how you give other people leverage, man. That's just a deep way to put it because a lot of these answers are things that I live by now, like not caring what other people think.
Hmm.
When you don't care what other people think, you really can't
Freedom,
get angry. Yeah.
freedom.
You can't get angry if you're caring about what somebody else thinks, because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And you're right. That's what freedom is. And all these things all came at me at once. Like I think that was really like the basis of my strength was like not caring what people think was really the key to opening up all of that. It doesn't matter, like whether we downgraded it to an apartment, whether I'm living with my mom, whether like I don't care anymore. And so it's
What
like total freedom.
a
It's
woman
like
said this once, and I don't know where she said it. I think maybe I read it on Tumblr. This was years ago, but if I still fuck with it, she said, "If you're not financing me, fucking me, or feeding me, I don't want to hear your opinion."
yeah.
You feel
Yeah.
me? Like you're not
Yeah.
paying my
If
bills.
if you yeah,
You're not
yeah.
putting food in my fridge.
Yeah.
And I know you're not blowing me. So what do
Yeah.
I give a fuck about how you feel about how I handle mine? And I
For
live
sure.
my life to the best of my ability. My kids are intelligent, they're fed, they're loved. My wife is taken care of, my bills are paid.
Yep.
Listen, Pusher T, my favorite Pusher T quote. Who are you to be compared with?
Mm, for real. And then that goes back to like everybody has the ability to be the CEO of themselves. And the first move that you want to make is to not care what anybody else thinks. I mean,
See, but
that's
let's
that's the
let's be honest about that,
that's the
right?
mic drop right
Because
there.
we say anybody, but we all, and this is where I talk about because I still live with the reality of my
Hmm.
weaknesses. I know it's still inside me. It may not be a big part of me, but I am honest enough to know that there's still weakness in me, right?
For
And
sure.
so
There's weakness in all of us. Nobody is
right,
ultimately, can withstand everything.
impervious,
Yeah,
impervious to
exactly.
bullets, mommy.
We're
But
all human. Yeah,
so
exactly.
and
We're
so
all
we
human,
have
man.
people that still affect us, and so sometimes the people that I spend around the time, the people that I spend the least amount of time around are the people that can hurt me the most because their views and their opinions may not be valid, but that doesn't take away from their ability to do harm to me.
Yep. But
And
that's
it
the
would be
toughest part.
foolish of me to let someone who's not on my level make me feel hurt or insecure or less than because I was living something that they couldn't understand.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because there's different levels. You're right. There's different levels to not caring what people think. Obviously, if they're a stranger and they don't know you, you don't know them.
Oh,
That's
fuck are you?
Easy. That's easy for most people. Most people could say that,
But
and
when it's
be
your
okay
great
with it.
aunt who raised you and
Yeah,
wiped your ass,
yeah.
and it's a little
And
different,
if
you
you're
know what I
trying
mean?
to make that person happy over yourself happy, control of so go ahead.
See, that's that we go back and forth on this conversation because a
Yeah,
prime
yeah,
example of that discussion is my wife. My wife is a Samoan.
yeah.
Yeah, she's like proper Samoan. Yeah, and her mom is if my wife is a Samoan, her mom's 100 times
Oh,
that.
yep,
You know
yep,
what I
yep.
mean? And
Yep,
so on
for
top
sure.
of being a Samoan woman, like, I dare you to fucking get my wife to believe she has free will. I dare you,
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel you on that. On
because
certain
there are
things, yeah.
these invisible lines and things that they're not on her arms, they're not on her sleeve. They go direct to her fucking heart,
Yeah,
and you press her hard enough, and she's gonna go in the direction that she was raised to go in.
yeah. No, I understand like some of that stuff because I mean, I am still pervious to a lot of those things too, but I feel like in the full direction of like um because for example, I still take my mom to church and I go to church with my mom, but that's not
Mhm.
necessarily like where I want to be. But out
Right,
of
right.
respect to my mom, I definitely
Hmm.
do that. And it's,
Hmm.
but at the same time, like when it comes to being involved with stuff with that, she doesn't. She knows that I'm not the most rah
She
rah
doesn't
for.
press you, but so hard,
No,
yeah.
exactly. So
She has
but
respect for you and you have respect for her, and you guys
exactly,
find a middle ground in there. But I'm talking
exactly.
about the people that have parents that don't give a fuck about respect because it's not their
That's
job to
true.
respect you. You listen and obey. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
speak, you
yeah,
get spoken to. And that's a
yeah.
lot of people's reality, especially in our
That's
culture.
Yeah, that's true. But I think for some things I'm looking at like at least just always listen to Gary Vee and just talking about maybe like doing whatever you want to do as maybe say for like work or for money or whatever.
Hmm.
And it's funny, it's like everybody wants to be paid, but sometimes it's like if you follow what you love, you could find something that might not necessarily pay now, but it could pay later. And it's funny, it's like I think I don't know who I heard say this, but somebody, it was like a stand-up comedian, and their parents wanted them to be like a doctor, and then uh you know they obviously didn't become a doctor, they became a stand-up comedian, and then until they were like made it, until they were really successful,
Hmm.
is when their parents kind of was like, oh, this is okay, like, yeah, I get,
Right, and
they
that's
don't
always the
really.
thing. But the other part of that, Uce, is we're having this conversation from a place of privilege, right? And
Mm,
that's part of it too, because I know you love Kanye West. I know you do. We talk about it, right? Because
yeah.
he's in your top 5, and I want to fight you over it, but it's all right. But I'm gonna give you a Kanye West quote. You ready?
Yeah.
You can't cop cars without seeing cop cars. Where I come from, Dope Boys is the rock stars. I guess they want us all behind bars.
Ooh, damn, that was such a good album too.
But like, so it's we talking about it from a parent and a family perspective. But you got niggas that was born without options. Pardon my language. You got
It's
people that was
true.
born without options.
It's
You know what
true.
I mean? And so the
Yeah.
shit that you got in front of you to do what you need to do is a lot different than what people.
Yeah.
Oh, just and I say that in my book. I'm like, I understand how disrespectful it is to tell someone do what makes you happy, because you got a lot of people that have never. If you fucking 16 and you got to feed 6 siblings, and your
Ooh,
moms don't
yeah.
even be in the house and you don't know your father, we can't talk about options.
That's true. It's all about survival at that point,
Right.
for a
And
lot of
that's
people.
and that
And
but
then
that takes us
actually
back to
right
the
now,
conversation.
today, yeah.
Everybody's not built the same.
Yeah.
Everybody's not built the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of people in that environment that make it and that don't.
For sure.
That's a lot of girls on the track that didn't make it.
Hmm.
You understand what I mean? The girls in school is the ones that were built to survive. But a lot of the girls on the track, they didn't have nobody to protect them, and they
Yep.
wasn't strong enough to protect themselves. And that's a
Yeah.
real conversation.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's that's why sometimes, man, like everybody needs a plan.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a plan. And as Mike Tyson says, man, everybody has a plan until you're
Until
punched
you
in the
get
mouth.
punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And so right now, everybody's getting punched in the mouth because some people had a plan, and it's like
so let's talk about that, right? Because this is another thing that I'm proud that I taught my wife, and it's a conversation I've been having with her for years. A plan will get you lost. A plan will get you confused. A plan will get you got. And here's why. Because people have the misconception that a plan is set in stone, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, like Ben Affleck and Reindeer
That's not real life. That's not real life, yeah.
Having a plan is like robbing a bank. It never goes exactly as you planned. Mm-hmm. Okay? So if we're going to talk about having a plan, we got to talk about what a plan really is. A plan is a loose framework of goals and things that you're working towards, or even contingencies that you plan for just in case, or what if. Those things may never happen. They may not happen like you've planned. What the beauty of a plan is it gives you the security of having a direction that you're moving in.
Yes.
Because what happens is when shit goes off and it goes wrong, people don't have a direction, and then things go from being a molehill into a mountain. So when we say a plan, all a plan is giving yourself to go in a direction if.
Yeah, 100%. Because even having a shitty plan
is better than no plan.
It's better, yes. Because at least I think the key word right there is like it gives you a direction to go in. Because if you don't have a plan, then you have no direction. So then you're going to be lost. So.
Facts. And that's where a lot of this fear comes from too.
Yes, well, I can see why you would have fear if you don't have a plan, or you don't know what's going on, or you don't have a direction.
And that's why I got frustrated with my missus, because I'm like, I'm not them. We're not them. We don't have anything to worry about. We have a supply chain that is effective and working outside of all of these idiots being idiot and ruling it. What are you panicking about? You know how many things we've made it through that were infinitely worse than this? So why would you? But listen, and here's the thing that we haven't touched on, but that I wanted to talk about. A lot of people don't even know they have this, but it's the animal brain. You know that lizard brain, you know better. Mm-hmm. And on the surface, you're thinking rational individual, but that flight or fight shit is real.
It is.
And it's a lot of people's natural instinct to panic. It's one of my favorite videos. There's these two little boys, and they're coming down the hallway, and a prank is being played on them, and the lights are off. And they flip the light on, and it's a little doll that looks crazy walking. And the one brother bolts, and the other brother screams and says, "Raw!" And he runs up and he football kicks the shit out of that doll.
Yeah.
And that's who people are.
Dude, that's,
And people, and a lot of people like to think of themselves as the kicker. But Uce, I'm telling you realistically, 98.9% of people are the runner.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, I've been. I think in a lot of cases, man, I've been a runner a lot my whole life. So you know what I mean.
A lot of people have. I think
I would have these dreams where I would be running away from stuff all the time too. Like
the far
it's
side.
So crazy. It's so
you
weird.
Can't keep running away.
Like I've had probably hundreds of like running away dreams. I haven't had them in a while, but that was definitely one of my dreams that was like reoccurring, just me running away from, and I don't even know what I was running from half the time.
I was always an emotional coward. It was different for me. I was never afraid to die or fight. I was always afraid to feel.
Yeah, I think for me it was everything. But yeah, I think that animal brain, that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean,
we are.
You know, that's why a lot of grocery stores are empty, and a lot of things, like people are in that flight reflex, and they're just hoarding up stuff to go out there. What is your reality real, or are you guys living a dream? So listen, we can chop that up the next time. I love you. I got some diapers that I need to go change and some laundry to hang up, but I'm going to come back to you. I'm glad we took the time to have this chat, Uce. Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. I always feel like it's a privilege talking to you, just sharing ideas, all that stuff, man. Thank you, man. And thank you for always
feel the same.
Looking out for me, Uce.
Nah, for sure. We're going to pick this up soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Frop.
Lit.